I welcome you all to the video lecture series on pattern recognition system. I am Josna Devi Bodapati, Assistant Professor, Department of CSE, Vignan University. In this lecture, we are going to talk about various stages of the pattern recognition systems and also what are the possible types of pattern recognition systems that are available and for which kind of problem, what is the type of pattern recognition system that we need to apply. Before going into the topic, let us have a look at the few of the technological advancements we have been observing in the real world. So if you consider the Facebook application, when you post a photo on the Facebook status, automatically it is tagging our friends' names. Then when I go online and try to purchase a product, then the online application itself is recommending some of the products that are related to the item that I am searching for. We all must have interacted with the online chatbots. So almost all of these websites nowadays are having these kinds of interactive systems called as chatbots. We do not even realize that we are interacting with basically a machine, not a human being. Google is not only interacting with the text search, so it is also working fine with the search-based commands. That is, when you utter a word, then Google retrieves all the related web pages that are related to the word that you uttered. All of us must have been observed these kind of systems which are basically designed for the COVID prediction. So this application basically predicts the probability of a person getting COVID given the CT scan of the person. The timing of traffic signals is getting automatically changed according to the traffic that is being observed. They are no more static, they are dynamic in nature. So automatically according to the traffic, they are getting updated. The contribution of technology, especially to the predictive analytics, is enormous. So especially when you observe prediction systems, stock market prediction, calamity detection. So in all these applications, so the predictive systems are working to utmost accuracy and they are being very, very helpful, especially in the recent past. So in the news, we must have seen driverless cars. The introduction of the future is all about driverless cars. That is, when you want to reach a place, so a car itself can automatically drive us and take you to the destination safely without any assistance from the humans. Contribution of the technology in the medical field is enormous. That is, consider this example. When I provide a CT scan of the patient, the system is automatically trying to predict whether the person is affected by tumor or not. And if the person is affected, then how many tumors are present and what is the size of each tumor that is present is automatically given by the systems, which is very, very useful for the diseased people. After seeing all these applications, we can understand that so how rapidly the technology is being changed and how accurately the systems are working. So you must be wondering what is the technology behind these applications and what is the technology that is making these applications super accurate. The technology that is being used for all these applications is the pattern recognition systems. So in today's class, we'll be discussing what are the different stages of the pattern recognition systems are and what are the different types of pattern recognition systems that are being available right from the supervised learning, then unsupervised learning, then semi-supervised learning. Then we'll have a glimpse of what reinforcement learning is. So then we'll be discussing various problems and trying to understand so when to apply classification or clustering or regression. Then finally we'll conclude our lecture with few of the case studies. Pattern recognition is basically identifying and analyzing various patterns that are available in the data. And these patterns can be identified either manually or automatically with the help of some set of algorithms. And the set of complex algorithms which are used to identify the patterns of the data are called as machine learning algorithms. Let us first try to understand what machine learning is. So let us see how humans learn. So we humans learn from our experience. So that is, we come across so many situations and we learn based on the experiences. We can apply our experiences for a given situation. So that is how can we make the machines also to think like humans or to behave like humans. So if we can do that, that is called as artificial intelligence, and this artificial intelligence can be implemented in the machines with the help of a set of algorithms called as machine learning algorithms. So basically, pattern recognition can be achieved with the help of the set of machine learning algorithms. So in today's talk, let us try to understand the difference between traditional learning and the machine learning. So in case of the traditional learning, the input to the systems are the data along with the program. So in case of the traditional programming, so to the system, we need to provide data along with the program. So that is, so we need to provide the set of code so that works on the data. And in that case, the system will produce the set of output. Whereas in case of the machine learning, we need to produce data along with the sample outputs. So for certain samples, you need to produce both data and set of outputs to the system. Then the machine learning system that itself will try to learn the patterns from the data, and then it produces the program itself. Try to observe the difference between these two learnings. In case of the traditional learning, the system produces the output, whereas in case of the machine learning, the system produces what we call as a program. And especially in the context of the machine learning, the program that is produced by the system is called as model. And once we design this model can be used anywhere.
Now consider the problem of classifying the fish on the conveyor belt manually. So which is a tedious task and very laborious for the humans to do. So can we automate this process with the help of our machine learning?
Okay. So first the fishes are moving on the conveyor belt. Then there is a camera that is being set to capture the images of these fishes. Then the camera is attached to the computer, which is actually having a machine learning program or machine learning model. So which identifies the patterns in the image and can understand whether it is a salmon fish or a sea bass fish. So now, depending on the output produced by your machine learning model, so the machine is also attached to a robot arm. So this robot arm, by taking the output from the machine learning model, automatically places the fish in the sea bass belt if it is a sea bass fish, and in the salmon bin if it is a salmon fish. So that is how you can apply any machine learning model to solve a particular problem. So if you observe this problem, different pattern recognition applications and how they work and what is the technology that is behind these applications. So in the next few slides, we'll be discussing how a typical pattern recognition system works and what are the different stages that are part of your pattern recognition system is. So this diagram actually shows a typical pattern recognition system. So you can see that, so from the real world, you need to capture the data. So then you can use either sensors. So this collection of data from the real world can be done in different ways. So if it is temperature kind of data or humidity, then we can use set of sensors. So if it is kind of image data, as it is in the previous example that I have quoted, that is fish classification, in that case you need to set a camera to capture the images. Or if it is kind of input to the system is videos, then you need to provide a video camera. So that is how, depending on your application, so you need to have a system that collects data from the real world. So that data will be the input to your pattern recognition system. So once you collect the data, so once the collection of the data is done, then the second stage is pre-processing and enhancement. So in the case of the pre-processing and enhancement, the data has to be enhanced and removal of noise has to be done. So why it is required is when you collect the data from real world, there is a possibility of having a lot of noise in the data, or there might be a chance of having missing values. So to avoid all these things and to make the data very clean and clear, we need to apply some set of pre-processing and enhancement techniques. So once that stage is done, so the next immediate stage is feature extraction. So in which case required features are extracted from the pre-processed data. So as of the time being, you can understand that so feature extraction is a stage where required features are collected from the processed data. So once the features are available, so then you can apply either classification or clustering or regression algorithm depending on the problem you are solving. So that is how a PR system typically works. So now you can have a look at this picture, which clearly describes some more details of the pattern recognition or the machine learning pipeline. So once we have the data is basically divided into training data and the test data. So basically a small chunk of the data is preserved for evaluating the performance of the data, and that data is called as test data. So the remaining portion of the data acts as a training data on which we basically train our model. So the training data is passed to the model, that is for training. So then once the model is trained, then we can evaluate the performance of the data by passing the test data to the model. So that is how any of the machine learning algorithm can be trained and can be evaluated. That is, the machine learning algorithm basically has two major phases. So one is a training stage and the other one is a evaluation stage. Yeah, let us have a look at this picture which explains few more details of the pattern recognition system workflow. So we already discussed that we have to collect the data from real world, and this collected data has to be pre-processed using some set of pre-processing techniques. So depending on the type of the data, you need to apply different data pre-processing tools or the algorithms. So again, if you are not, once the pre-processing is applied, so the data you are getting is called as structured data. So once you are happy with the data, so you are having currently, then you can proceed to the next stage. Or otherwise, again you apply the pre-processing technique on the data. So you can iterate this process for a certain number of times as long as you are not happy with the data that is available with you. So once you are happy with the structured data, then you can move on to the next stage called as applying the training. So so during the training phase, so again depending on the type of application or depending on the learning algorithm we are applying, so you need to choose which kind of machine learning algorithm so you need to apply on the data. So then after applying the training, so if you are satisfied with the candidate model that is available with you, then you can proceed to the next stage, that is evaluation. So if you are not happy with that, then again you iterate to this process of training. First train, evaluate on the validation data, and then check the model performance. So if you are not satisfied, then you can repeat this. So that is how, as long as you are not happy with the model, you need to train the model again and again. So once you are happy with the model, then you can go to the next stage, that is deploying the trained model in the application location. So whatever the model that is available with you now, you can call that as a golden 6 stages of the pattern recognition system as collection of the data, then processing, applying the pre-processing techniques. So this stage you need to remember, as long as you are not happy, you need to iterate that process. Then the next stage is training the model. Again, here also, as long as you are not happy with your model, so you need to apply this process iteratively. So once you are done with that, then you can proceed to the evaluation model, and then place the model on the real-time usage. In the last few slides, we have seen various pattern recognition system applications along with what are the different stages that a pattern recognition system follows. So given a problem, we should be able to understand what is the type of machine learning algorithm that we need to apply. So to achieve that, so you should be able to understand what are the various types of machine learning algorithms that are available, and then we'll try to understand so when to use which of these algorithms in detail. We have different types of machine learning algorithms that are categorized into supervised, semi-supervised, then unsupervised, and also the reinforcement learning algorithms. So let's start with the very basic one, the supervised learning algorithm. So in this case, the system learns similar to how we humans learn. So basically learning actually takes place in the presence of the supervisor or a teacher. So that's why this kind of learning is named as supervised learning. So if you consider how a baby learns, So when you start showing an apple to a baby later on, so when you show an apple, so the baby starts identifying that as an apple. So similarly, when you show bananas to the baby, so baby tries to recognize bananas when you later show them. So that is how, inspired on this kind of learning, supervised learning is introduced. Basically, the machine will be shown with certain examples. So the machine will try to understand and analyze what are the patterns that are underlying in the given data, and later on the machine will try to understand or recognize the patterns that are available in the data. In supervised learning, every sample in the training data is having some associated label. While providing a sample to the machine, so we are saying that this is the label for the sample data. So then the model can understand which sample is associated with what type of label. So the model is trying to analyze the data now, and once the model is ready, while prediction, when you pass the samples to the model will itself will generate the labels for the data. Say for example here, I am passing a square, so then the model is telling it's a square. And when I pass a triangle to it, it will say that it's a triangle. So that is how the learning happens in case of the supervised learning. Now let us see what are the tasks that comes under this supervised learning. When we have labels along with the samples for the training data, then such a kind of learning is called as supervised learning. And now let us see what are the different tasks that come under this supervised learning. Regression and classification tasks both come under supervised learning, but depending on the type of value they are producing, so they are named as regression and classification. So both are basically used to predict some value. So in case of the classification task, so the value predicted by the system is a type of integer value. In case of the regression, the type of value produced by the system is a continuous value. So that is a basic difference between the classification and the regression tasks. Now let us have a detailed example for each. Consider the task of house price prediction. So given the set of values like the size of the house, the number of bedrooms, number of bathrooms, the house price can be predicted by the system. So in the first few samples, we have provided samples along with the price of the houses. So then in that case, the system can learn the patterns that are available in the data, and when we, at a later point of time, when you provide the size of the house, beds and the bathrooms, other details of the house, then the system will try to predict the price of the house. In this case, the price of the house varies from certain x value to certain y value. Say for example here, it might vary something like some 1 lakh to 1 crore. So it can even take any of the floating point value also. So like the value that can be predicted by the system is a continuous value. So that is why we are basically applying the regression task. And such tasks where the value predicted by the system is a continuous value rather than integer value, then task is called as regression task. Consider the other one, classification. So in case of here we have an example of predicting whether the given mail is a spam mail or a normal mail. So checking whether the given mail is a spam mail or a normal mail. So in that case, in this case, as the task is a supervised learning, here also will be providing the samples along with the labels to the samples while training the model. So once the model is trained, so the model is ready to be used for prediction. So now while prediction, so we'll be providing only the set of samples. Then the system will itself produce this mail is spam mail and this. The task in which the prediction value is either binary or an integer value, then to such applications we need to apply the task called as classification task. So these kind of applications comes under classification. So I hope now it is clear the difference between the regression task and the classification task. So takeaway here is, in case of the regression, the value predicted by the system is a continuous value, whereas in case of the classification, the value predicted is a binary or an integer value. So that is how you can understand, given an application, whether you need to apply a regression task or a classification algorithm. So that is how, given an application, you can figure out whether you need to apply a regression algorithm or a type of classification algorithm. We understand what supervised learning is, where we are producing labels along with the samples while training the model, kind of guiding the system. That is why such systems are called as supervised learning systems. So there are many applications where it is not possible to get the label data for the samples. So in that case, so can we apply any kind of machine learning algorithm? So of course yes. So such type of so the next type of learning is called as unsupervised learning, where there will not be any kind of supervisor to guide the system. So here also the machines try to think like humans based on the analysis power or based on the experiences. Here if you consider the simple example, the input to the model is set of images. So remember, we are just producing the set of images and we are not informing the model that this image is belonging to the cat, this image is belonging to the dog, or this image is belonging to some X or Y. We are not giving any such information. So the model itself has to analyze the data. So the model itself will process the data, analyze the data, understands the data and produces this set of images are belonging to one category and this set of images are belonging to the other category. So that is how the system will produce the data. Here the system will not tell you this set of examples are belonging to dogs, this set of examples are belonging to cats. So that is for our understanding. I have attached the labels, but basically the system will not produce any such label to you. So basically in case of the unsupervised learning, you will not be providing any labels for the input data while training the model. Can be applied for two different tasks called as clustering and anomaly detection. So let us see each of these tasks in detail. So in case of clustering, so we are basically grouping the data into certain categories. Yeah, now let's have an example for clustering. So this is a typical example for the image segmentation task, where the given pixels are grouped together depending on the type of data they are represent. So now consider this example of image segmentation. So where the related regions of the image are grouped together. So here you can observe that, so the water portions are marked as a single group, then the land portions are marked as another group, then the grass portions are marked as another group, and moreover sky is recognized as another group. So now let's have another example of anomaly detection, identifying the abnormality condition depending on the data. So in this case, we are given set of transactions. You can consider it as bank transactions. So if you observe in the data, so every example, especially the amount value is less than or equal, less than 200 or 300. So but whereas a specific transaction is having a high value, an abnormal value. So the system also tries to understand such kind of abnormalities in the data by understanding the patterns in the given sample data. So such a task is called as anomaly detection, and basically this anomaly detection is used for fraud detection. So these two examples can be regarded as a unsupervised learning algorithms. And in addition to these two, we have another task called as dimensionality reduction, so or density estimation. Let's try to understand the basic differences between the supervised learning and the unsupervised learning. So depending on the factor, so you can observe the differences. So coming to the data, so in case of the supervised learning, the data is labeled, whereas in case of the unsupervised learning, the data provided to the model is unlabeled. So the samples that are provided to the model are not labeled at all. So then in terms of the training, so in case of the supervised learning, there will be a feedback that is coming from the supervisor. So here the labels that are assigned to the samples itself act as supervisors. So such kind of feedback is not available in case of the unsupervised learning. So in terms of the number of classes, in case of the supervised learning, the number of classes are known, whereas unsupervised learning, the number of classes are unknown. the system itself has to figure out, so how many groups are there, Supervised learning is basically you are going to predict a value, so whether it is a continuous value or an integer value or a binary value, but the objective is to identify or the predicting a value. Whereas in case of the unsupervised learning, the objective of the model is to analyze the patterns underlying in the data. So the examples for the supervised learning are classification and regression. So these are the two types of problems that come under supervised learning. Whereas in case of the unsupervised learning, so you can consider clustering and density estimation, or even fraud detection, or dimensionality reduction. So these are all the set of problems that comes under unsupervised learning, where the labels of the data is not provided. So far we have seen different types of learning, so supervised learning and unsupervised learning. So to summarize, in case of the supervised learning, we are providing the labels to the data, whereas in unsupervised learning, you are not providing any labels to the data. So that is how typically we decide supervised learning, whether the learning is supervised or unsupervised learning. In most of the applications, the number of labeled examples would be limited and the number of unlabeled samples would be unlimited and huge in size. So can we make use of both of these, supervised learning and unsupervised learning together, and can get the benefit of the huge amounts of unsupervised data to get the benefits of the supervised learning task? So targeting this, another learning, the type of learning that is introduced called as semi-supervised learning. So semi-supervised learning is basically, it's between, you can consider this as in between, it comes in between the supervised and unsupervised learning. In case of the supervised learning, all the examples are labeled. Unsupervised learning, all the examples are unlabeled. Whereas in case of some semi-supervised learning, few of the samples are labeled and most of the samples are unlabeled data. So it stands in between both unsupervised and supervised learning. This kind of learning is used especially for the applications that have very limited set of training data. Now let's try to understand how the model tries to learn in case of the context of semi-supervised learning. At the first stage, the model is applied on the label data, so similar to the supervised learning. Here it's nothing but the supervised learning we are basically applying to the model. So then the model produces the model is ready for prediction. So now the model that is ready for prediction is applied on the huge amounts of unlabeled data that we have with us. So now from the predictions, so the confidently labeled predictions, the confidently predicted unlabeled data will be taken and will be added to the label data. So now that means you are kind of augmenting the label data with the confidently labeled unlabeled data. So now your label data has become larger. So now again you had to apply this, you had to train the model on the augmented label data. So now again the model will be trained. So once you get the well-trained model, so you apply the same model on the unlabeled data again. So once you apply the model on the unlabeled data, again you take the confidently labeled data and add them to the label data, get the predictions. So again train the model and reiterate this process. So till you get all the unlabeled data as labeled, and otherwise till you reach a certain point where you cannot get any more confident predictions for the unlabeled data. So that is how you can make use of both labeled data and unlabeled data, so to improve your learning capability of your model. So this is basically called as semi-supervised learning, and this model is has become very popular, especially for the recent neural machine translation tasks, image capturing and the video capturing tasks. Now let us have a look at the reinforcement learning. So in case of the reinforcement learning, the model tries to interact with the environment and thereby it tries to learn. So here the model will be learning based on the model will be given some penalty, award or reward depending on the action it is performing. If you consider the square box as an environment where your agent has to move according to your requirements, and in that environment you have a fireplace and also a bucket. So the objective here is the agent has to reach the bucket and not the fire. So in the first place, the agent started moving towards the fire. So then in that case, we are giving the penalty. So of 50 points, for example, we are penalizing the agent as it was making a wrong step. So in that case, the agent is trying to understands that, so it is moving in the wrong direction and it will try to correct it. And then in the next step, it starts to move towards the bucket, and then it will be given some award points. Say for example, 50 points for here the objective of the system is to maximize the awards, not the penalty points. So the actions are taken based on the past experiences and thereby making the new choices by exploring the environment, which is essentially a trial and error kind of learning. So far we have discussed the different types of machine learning algorithms, the supervised algorithm basically, then the unsupervised learning problem. Then there is in between one more type of learning called as semi-supervised learning. Then in addition, we have seen another type of learning called as reinforcement learning. And this reinforcement learning is basically used for gaming or robotic control systems. So such tasks, it has become very popular nowadays. So classification and regression problems that come under the supervised learning task. Then clustering and dimensionality reduction or the anomaly detection problems, they come under the unsupervised learning problems. Then under the semi-supervised learning, so you can do either clustering or the classification. So basically you are making use of both the labeled and unlabeled data. Robotic control or the gaming applications you can implement using the reinforcement learning. So with this extensive discussion, so you must have understood that there are basically 4 types of learnings. There are different tasks that can make use of these types of learning. So that is, classification means it comes under supervised learning. Clustering means unsupervised learning. So that is what you can make out. But given a real-time problem, we should be able to understand. So whether it comes under the classification task or clustering or regression or some other task, we should be able to understand that. So now let's continue our discussion to identify, given a problem, whether it comes under classification or clustering or regression. So basically we'll be focusing only on these 3 types of tasks, so in this entire course. Now consider the problem of classification. So let us try to understand what classification is and what are the problems that can be solved that comes under the classification task. So basically, given a set of samples, so the model have to be designed such that, so given sample is belonging to which particular class. So given this face image, this example is belonging to X or certain Y, so or Z. So such kind of prediction has to be produced by the model. So such a model is called as a classification model. And as you are providing labels along with the sample data, so the type of learning used for classification is called as supervised learning. And here in this case, the model is predicting a type of value, and the type of value that is predicted by the model is an integer type. So coming to the examples of classification, so a few of the examples are speaker recognition. So where given the speech signals, so the system has to identify the signal is the speech signal is belonging to which person. So then the tumor classification. Given the MR images of a person's brain, so your system has to identify whether the person is affected by any tumor or not. Then the very well-known application, the facial recognition system. So where the system takes facial image as input and predicts this face is belonging to some X, this face is belonging to some Y, so on and so forth. Then you can consider even document classification. So given the document, your model has to identify whether it is belonging to sports or politics or movies or entertainment. So such kind of prediction has to be produced by the model. So these are few of the examples for the classification problem. Classification can be of binary classification type, or it could be multi-class classification also. In case of the binary classification, basically you have 2 classes. So model predict whether the example is belonging to this class or that class. So only 2 possibilities are there. That's why it's called as binary classification. So the examples are, you can consider gender classification. So in this case, the output is male or female. So there are only two outputs. So that is why it comes under binary classification. Similarly, loan approval system. Given the details of a customer, your system has to predict whether the loan for that person can be approved or not. Here also, the type of value that is produced by the model is binary, yes or no. That's how it's a binary classification. So again, so we already have seen checking the mail, whether it is a spam mail or a normal mail. So it also comes under binary classification, as the output produced by the model is binary. And in case of the next type of classification is multi-class classification, where the model produces a value of an integer. So in this case, it is no more binary. So your model has to produce an integer value. Say for example, digit recognition. So in this case, the model has to predict the given images 0 or 9 or 7 and so on and so forth. So here there are 10 different possibilities. So which is not binary. So more than 2. So that is how it comes under the multi-class classification. So then you can even consider the face recognition, speaker recognition. So wherever there are more than 2 classes that are participating in the problem, then you can consider such classification problems as multi-class classification problems. So then there is another type of classification called as multi-label classification. So in case of the multi-class classification, your sample is belonging to, of course your problem is multi-class. That means you have multiple classes, more than 2 classes. But every sample can take part in either of these possible classes. Even if you have 10 classes also, so given digit can be belonging to either a 0 or a 1 or a 9. But in case of the multi-label classification, so the given sample can have an association with more than 1 class. So such a type of classification is called as multi-label classification. So you can consider an example of news article classification, where the article can be having an association of sports. So it can be related to a person also, it can be related to sports, it can be related to location. So all these, the given article can be belonging to all these 3 types at the same time. So such type of classification where the sample can have association with multiple classes is called as multi-label classification. So now we understand that there are 3 different possible types of classification class. So binary classification, multi-class classification and multi-label classification. So in case of binary classification, so your model predicts a binary value, true or false, yes or no. In case of the multi-class classification, so you have multiple classes and your sample belonging to only one particular class. So given this image, I would say that image is belonging to either dog or cat or horse. You cannot say that the image is belonging to both dog and cat, right? So in such cases, you can consider your task as multi-class classification. So then the next one is multi-label classification, where your prediction is having association with more than 1 outputs. So here, if you consider this example, so the image is having both bird and cat. So that is how you can say that it comes under multi-label classification. So now, so far we have seen what is classification and what are the different types of classification problems. What are the different examples that comes under classification. So now we'll see what are the different machine learning algorithms that we can apply for classification. So I'll just list them out here. So just to get an idea of what are the different models that can be applied for classification. So in the further classes, we'll be discussing all these models in detail. So logistic regression, Bayesian classification, k-nearest neighborhood classification, then the decision trees, random forests, neural network models, so support vector machines. So these are all the different models that can be used for the classification task. Yeah. Now try to understand what regression analysis is and where this regression analysis can be applied and what are the different types of regressions that are possible. Yeah, so similar to classification, regression also works with an objective of predicting a value, but here the type of value that is predicted by the model is of continuous type or real type. It is no more a binary or an integer value. So such kind of prediction models are called as regression models. Say for example, our model, given the details, our model has to predict salary of a person, or given the detail, given the various parameters, the model has to predict the temperature of the day. So such kind of models where the prediction value is a continuous value or a real value, so we call such models as regression models. And you can categorize regression models into various types. So first type of categorization is based on the number of features we are using for the regression task. So here, if you use only one feature as input to the model, then in that case we call such regression models as simple regression models. And if we use more than one feature as input to the model, then we call such models as multiple regression models. Say for example, to predict the weight of a person, if you provide the height of a person as the feature, so that is you are passing only one feature as input to the model to predict the weight of a person. So the height of the person is the input to the model to produce the weight of a person, right? So that means you are passing only one feature to the model. So such kind of problems where you pass a single feature to the model is called as simple regression models. So if you pass more than two features, say for example, to predict the weight of a person, so we are passing different parameters like the height of a person, the age of a person, gender of a person, then the eating habits. If you pass all these details, then that is, if you pass more than two set of parameters to the model, then it's called as multiple regression model. And depending on the relationship between the predicted value and the input features, the model can be divided into linear model and the non-linear model. So if the relationship between your input data and the model is the output, the predicted output is linear, then such models are called as linear models. And if the relationship between the predicted value and the input features, if it is non-linear, then we can call such regression models as non-linear regression models. After considering various types, so we can list out all the 4 types of regression models as simple linear regression models, where you are using only one feature and the relationship between the input and output is linear, and simple non-linear models. Then the multiple regression models, where depending on the relationship we can say that, so multiple linear regression models and multiple non-linear regression models, or simply non-linear regression models. That is how, so we can have different types of regression models. So then, what are the different algorithms, machine learning algorithms we can apply for the regression problems? So we can apply linear regression, and KNN also can be kind of adapted for the regression. Then you can use decision trees also. So even support vector machines can also be used for predicting a continuous value. Then even the neural network model, by using a radial basis functions, you can use that for the regression task. Now let us see what clustering is and what are the different problems that can be solved with the help of clustering. So clustering is basically grouping the given set of items into a set of categories. Say for example, we already have seen, given the set of images, the model is trying to categorize them into, so dogs into one category and cats into another group. So such kind of models comes under the clustering problems. And then we also have seen image segmentation, where the related pixels are marked as single group. Say for example, the water regions are identified as a separate region, and even we can consider the tumor recognition also, tumor segmentation also comes under the clustering task, where given the MR image of a person, so you can try to identify which are parts of the image are affected and what is the size of the region and all you can predict depending on the affected region. So that is how you can apply clustering on many real-time applications. And the popular models that can be applied on clustering is the K-means clustering, then the K-medoids clustering, hierarchical clustering, DB-scan algorithm, and even the fuzzy C-means clustering algorithm can also be applied for So these are the variety of machine learning algorithms for clustering, and we'll be discussing in detail each of these techniques in the later classes. Now let us try to understand the basic difference between classification and regression. So both the models are predictive models. You are trying to predict something from the models. So but the basic difference here is, in case of regression, so you are kind of predicting a continuous value or a real value. Whereas in case of the classification, so you are predicting a value which is either a binary value or an integer value. In case of the regression, consider this example. So your model is trying to predict what is the temperature of tomorrow. So the temperature value is usually a continuous value. So when your model is predicting a continuous value, so the task is coming under the regression task. So if you design a model to answer the question like whether it will be cold or hot tomorrow, so the model has to respond as yes or no, or cold or hot. So in that case, the model is producing a binary value, or even the model can respond like cold, hot, humid, cloudy, something like that. So in that case also, the model is predicting an integer value. So if the model is predicting a binary or integer value, then the task comes under classification. So this is the takeaway for today's class. So the basic difference is, in case of regression, the model is kind of predicting a real value or a continuous value. In case of classification, the model is predicting a binary or a integer value. So then we already have seen what are the different types of machine learning algorithms that can be applied for solving all these tasks. If it is a regression task, so these are the list of machine learning algorithms that can be applied. If it is a classification task, then these are the list of. I hope now it is very clear to all of you. So what clustering is, what classification is, and what regression is, and to solve which kind of problems you had to apply these models, how to choose classification or regression or the clustering model depending on the given application. So by this time you must have understood. To make it more solid, so I have a few of the case studies. Given the application, so try to figure out it comes under which type of task. So what is the temperature for tomorrow? So now the problem is the model has to, given the parameters, the model has to estimate what is the temperature for tomorrow. Here the prediction value is a continuous value, so that is how it comes under regression. So now consider the model has to estimate, so what will be the value of the stock. So in this case also, the value to be predicted is a continuous value, so it comes under again regression task. So now another question is, so given various conditions, so your model has to estimate how many runs Virat Kohli will take in the test match. So again, so it is also a regression task. So of course, runs is an integer, even then it comes under regression task. The reason is, even if it is an integer value, so your model need not to predict every value. So it's not continuous, right? So in that case, we will be using the regression, not the classification. So just to make you understand that, I have included this. So will it rain today or not? So now the output is, yeah, the model produce the result. The model has to predict yes or no answer, right? So it comes under classification. So now given the parameters or given the input by the user, then your system should produce whether the test result for COVID will be positive or negative. So again, true or false, classification. So is this picture is belonging to male or female? Again, a binary prediction. So binary classification. So given the male, you should try to understand whether it is spam, important, or promotion. So category, right? So it's multi-class classification task. So now given the image of a animal, you should identify whether it is a cat or a dog or an elephant. So again, it's a classification, multi-class classification. Now given the balls, set of balls, you need to group them together into some sets. So it's kind of identifying similar patterns in the data and categorizing them. So it comes under clustering task. Now given the set of transactions that are happening in a bank, you need to identify some abnormal transactions. So it's an unsupervised task, of course. That's fraud detection. So you can even say clustering, because you are kind of grouping the similar types of patterns. So then given the satellite image, you had to mark the forest area, forest regions. So in this case again, it's a clustering task. So given the set of faces, you need to group the set of males and females. So again, so you are not, your model has to predict the groups again. So it comes under the clustering task. So given the MR images, so your model has to identify the tumor affected regions. So again, it's kind of identifying certain portion from the image. It comes under segmentation or the clustering task. So the summary of today's class is, so in today's class we have seen various real-time applications of pattern recognition, then what are the different typical stages of pattern recognition system, and what are the different types of learning like supervised, semi-supervised, unsupervised learning, and where they can be applied, and what is classification, clustering and regression. So given a problem, how to identify whether it comes under classification or clustering or a regression problem. So then we discussed few of the case studies to get the stronger idea. So that is what we discussed. So try to answer these questions, take it as an assignment and try to answer these questions. So if you have any questions, you can contact me. Thank you. Thank you for listening to this video.